Welcome back to another episode of Forward with Forli. Today we're going to be talking about dog toys. Play and dog toys are a very important part of your relationship with your guide or any working dog or pet dog for that matter. And I'm going to go over some toys that Forli and I play with. This is not an exhaustive list. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of different dog toys out there on the market. This is just an example of a few toys that you can choose for your dog, and hopefully will help you get started on which toys are going to work best for your dog. Now, before we get into the toys, let's talk about what makes a good dog toy. First of all, you want toys for large breed dogs. Even if you have a small little pocket rocket, 40-pound lab, shepherd, retriever, something like that, you still want toys for large breed dogs. They are large breeds, they love to play, they want to play hard, some of them, and you want a toy that's going to hold up. Dog toys are not always the most inexpensive things to purchase, so you definitely want to get some miles out of them. And that brings me to my next point, construction. Find something that's built well, because you don't want the dog to be able to destroy it. You don't want them ingesting any part of the toy. It's really important that the toy stays intact. And if something should happen to the toy, if the dog starts breaking it, some dogs, if they get like a little hole in it or a little piece missing, they'll continue to just break it, just for the fun of it. Dogs like to tear things apart. I think it's kind of a natural instinct from when they were out in the wild before they were domesticated. But I am not a biologist, so I'm going to stop right there and say that if a dog does start to break something, even if you just bought it, I know it's frustrating, take it away, throw it away, move on with your life. It is not worth risking your dog ingesting a huge chunk and something happening to your dog as a result, the vet bills, that sort of thing. So just chuck it, get a new one, move on. And then finally, find something that you and your dog like to play with. What is your dog interested in? I've had this happen where I go to the pet store, I hold something out in front of my dog's nose. Yep, that's what I want, she says, let's go. And she kind of picks out her own toy. It's kind of cute. But also think about your own lifestyle. If you live in a small apartment in a large city, you might not want a ton of large balls rolling around or a ton of toys. You might need smaller toys that are still durable, that are still going to work for your large breed dog. Vice versa, if you live where you have a large backyard or you have access to a green space that's fenced, etc., you might want a big toy. You might want something like a Jolly Ball, which is a large brown plastic ball. The dogs love to roll them around and play with them. They also make an egg-shaped version of that. For the dogs, it kind of bounces and rolls, and the dogs just go crazy for them. So think about your lifestyle, what's going to work for you, and with that, let's get right into the toys. So the first thing we have is these are kind of standard toys, is a Nylabone. As you can see, it's kind of well used. Some dogs can be aggressive to the point where an aggressive chewer, not an aggressive personality, where they can actually chew this right down to just a little nub. This one's actually still in pretty good shape. We've had this one for a while. But again, pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The dog chews on it. They get some enjoyment out of it. Supposedly it helps with their teeth, although you do have to be careful with these hard Nylabones because they have been rumored to crack dogs' teeth. So just kind of be aware of that. Of course, talk to your school, talk to your dog trainers, vets, that sort of thing if you are concerned at all. But this is most certainly a pretty safe toy, pretty easy, they're relatively inexpensive. They're small. Get a few of them if your dog likes them. Leave one at the office, leave one in your dorm room, at your parents' house, at your place, your backpack, wherever. Just have it around, have a few of them around. They're just a quick toy, no maintenance, throw it out on the floor, the dog goes after it, has a good time. They're a great toy. Moving on, again, kind of a standard issue guide dog toy is the Kong honeycomb-shaped kind of bouncy, rolly toy. I don't know if it has an actual name. I've only ever just called him a Kong, but that's the brand, Kong, K-N-O-G. Good brand. This one is in the color black, and they are color-coded, supposedly. So black apparently is the toy that's designed for a strong chewer. There's a red one that is designed for more of an intermediate chewer, and supposedly there's a blue colored one that's more designed for a softer chewer. I've never actually seen that one, but these are great. They bounce, they roll because they're kind of a honeycomb shape. They roll every which direction. Great little toy. Again, small enough to throw in a bag or purse or backpack, laptop bag, whatever. They're good for throwing, not so much for tugging because they're pretty small. Your hands would be pretty close to the dog's mouth. Kind of an unsafe situation there, but certainly for rolling and throwing. They're also good for enrichment. So if your dog is nervous or bored, maybe if you're gone for a period of time, or maybe if your dog's sitting at your desk, or just your dog just needs something to do, you can actually fill the interior. I hope you can see that on camera. It's hollow inside with dog food. Some people will mix dog food and water, kibble and water, and then freeze it overnight, and then it's frozen, easy to pull out. Easy for you because it doesn't make a mess. Hard for the dog because it's frozen, so they'll get their tongue in here, and believe me, they can get their tongue all the way up in here. It's amazing, and they will lick it clean. So other people will put peanut butter in it. That's what I've done. Do note, if you are going to put treats in these things, make sure that you're aware of that, because that will add to a dog's calorie count for the day. Yes, we do keep track of dogs' calories. The last thing you want is an overweight guide or service dog, so make sure that you're aware of that. Maybe do this on an occasional basis, but it's certainly good for that as well. So kind of a double-purpose toy there. Good for throwing and bouncing around, and also good for enrichment if your dog needs something to do. Moving on, we have a... this is also a Kong brand. This is a Squeaky Bone. And this is one of Forli's favorite toys, if not her favorite toy. As you can see, it's pretty well used. Everything here is well used. It's a little bit dirty. Sorry about that. This is a good toy. My only complaint with this particular toy is it has green fuzz on it. The same material you would find on a tennis ball, which is not what you want. In fact, you can see where my finger is. Forli has already started to tear that. So this has gone from an unsupervised to a supervised toy. And what does that mean? Unsupervised toys are toys like this Kong or Bone here that you can just give the dog and let them just do their own thing, and they're cool with it. A supervised toy is where it's not dangerous enough for the dog to not play with, but it's certainly is something that you need to be aware of to make sure that they're not destroying it or doing anything bad with it. And this is one of those cases. It's missing a tiny little bit here, but she's not chewing it. She's not making a fuss. It just kind of came off the seam. So we're still going to continue to play with it, but we'll monitor it. If it gets worse, I absolutely would chuck it in the garbage and move on. But great for throwing. It bounces. You could tug on this, although with this soft, fuzzy stuff, it might not be ideal. You can purchase these Squeaky Bones. This one actually has a hard rubber base underneath the fuzz part. So you can purchase them where they have a hard, they're just made out of hard rubber, and it's great. Some dogs love squeaky toys. Maybe you don't, so that might be, again, back to the lifestyle thing. You may not want to hear squeaky toys all day long, but it also might be good to have one just for a little bit of encouragement, especially if you're a dog handler that doesn't use food as a reward system or for praise. If your dog does something really well, it's another way of rewarding them at a destination. You just pull the toy out, let them play with it for a couple of seconds. We call that a break off. And so a toy like this would be helpful in that respect as well. Next, we have a tug ring. This is made by a company called GoNut. GoNut is a very good brand, very sturdy toy. It's made out of a durable rubber. These supposedly have a lifetime guarantee. Apparently there's a core inside here that's made up of a different color. The one I'm holding now is in black, and I think the core, someone told me, is like red or orange. I've never seen a dog chew down to the core, but if it does, if it exposes the inner core, it's a different color, you can send it back to the company and they will give you another one. They have a lifetime guarantee on these things. This thing is a couple years old. It looks virtually untouched, and we play with it quite often. The kind of downside is it's pretty heavy, so it's not great for throwing in a bag or anything necessarily, unless you're taking like a big suitcase or something. but it is great for tug. It's pretty long. It's 2 rings hooked together, so there's plenty of room for Forli to grab on and for me to keep my fingers out of the way. Not so great for throwing, although you could throw it. It does bounce pretty well. Oh, sorry. Really got out of hand here. Sorry about that, guys. So anyway, toy's getting away from me here. So yeah, it's a good for that as well. It does bounce well, but is great for tug. And finally, the last 2 toys kind of go together. They are a frame ball. This ball you may recognize from one of my earlier videos. I actually hung a GoPro inside the lattice work here and threw it and got a really fun shot. Check that out. You can see it on my intro video called Introducing the Guide Dog Lifestyle. It's the very first video I made. There's a quick shot of us in there. I think it's also in the 1-year anniversary video that I made as well. So check those out. But again, back to the frame ball. It's a very good ball. Hard rubber lattice. It's flexible. You can roll it up here and put it in a bag if you wanted to stuff it into a bag. Very good for throwing, very good for tugging. Just an all-around good toy if those 2 games are what you and your dog are into. Pretty easy to throw, pretty easy to manage. They're pretty durable. This particular one is lasted. It was my last dog's, and now it was passed on to Forli. And Forli, so far, knock on wood, has not been able to break it or destroy it. Some dogs might decide to start chewing on these lattice pieces, so do supervise your dog at least at first. Make sure they're not destroying it, so that you have it. They're not ingesting any things. But again, very good toy overall. Definitely would recommend to put on your list. And finally, the last toy I'm going to show you in this video is a smaller frame ball with a bell inside. That's how this thing came. This ball has been around a long time. I have had 3 guide dogs now, including Forli. The other 2 dogs hated this thing. Wouldn't touch it, wouldn't play with it. It sat dormant for a long time, and then Forli came along and sort of adopted it as one of her new favorite toys. And so it's a great toy. What this toy does is, of course, it's okay for tug. It's a little bit small. I try not to do it too much because I don't want Forli to break it. It's not this. I mean, it's strong, but she could easily break it. I feel like playing tug. The bigger frame ball is better for that. But what this thing is really good at is throwing, because when you throw it, it jingles. So when it lands, I know where it lands in the backyard or wherever, and then of course I can hear when Forli is picking it up, so it sort of has a dual purpose there where I know where it goes, and then I know when Forli has it, and if Forli doesn't have a bell on, or I can't hear her bell for whatever reason, this has a bell in it, so if it's in her mouth and she's walking around like this, you're going to hear it. So that's a really good thing. Definitely really enjoy this toy for my dogs. Of course, if the dog likes it. Some dogs don't like this sound. It's literally just a bell, a metal bell with a ball bearing inside, and some dogs don't like that sound. So you definitely want to just check and see if that's something that your dogs might be interested in. So that is all the toys I'm going to show you today. I know this is a pretty small selection. There are tons of toys out there. These should definitely get you started on the right track. We Forli will be getting some new toys soon. You always want to kind of switch them in and out. Speaking of switching them in and out, you don't have to have 100 toys. You only have to have a few toys that are strategically used. And what I mean by that is if you want the dog to get excited about something new, just take one of the toys away while the dog isn't looking and hide it for a while. It could be a week, could be 2 weeks, could be a month or even more. And then bring it out again and take one of the other ones away. And the dog will all of a sudden be excited because they see this new toy. They've forgotten about it. They've literally forgotten about it. And now it's back in sight. And they're like, oh my God, I got a new toy. So if you want to get some more mileage out of your toys without going out and buying new toys all the time, that is a great way to do it. There's even been a study done on that where it talks about dogs reacting to that phenomenon. So these are dogs, not kids. You don't have to go out every Christmas and buy them 10 or 15 new toys. Half a dozen toys will do. Be strategic, that's my recommendation. I would much rather have a few toys that my dog really, really loves as opposed to having a lot of toys that my dog might like or might destroy or just they're just all over the place. So definitely find what's going to work for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. If you want instant notifications for future videos, you can enable the notification feature within YouTube and the YouTube app. And thank you so much for watching.